Hello, my name is Alexis Clingingsmith, and I will be talking about some ornamental diseases I found in Montana over the summer and fall of 2019. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about a few different plants like zucchini, summer squash, roses, pineapple sage, barley and wild rye, and prairie blanket flower. The first plant I found to have a pathogen on it was zucchini. I saw chlorotic leaf spots, powdery spots forming on both sides of the leaves, fruit that just wasn't quite normal, and so I'm hypothesizing that powdery mildew is what took over. In this video you can see the powdery spots on the leaves. It was on both sides of the leaves, although my video doesn't show that very well. I also found some summer squash that looked very similar to the zucchini. In this video you can really see those powdery, silvery looking spots on the leaves and also the yellowing of the leaves. When I did a little bit more research about powdery mildew, I found that it is very common on cucurbit crops, whether it's in the field or in the greenhouse as starts or out in your garden. So some ways to manage powdery mildew is to find resistant varieties if they're available to you. Another practice that can help reduce powdery mildew is to avoid over-applying nitrogen, have good spacing between plants, and then if an infection is found, you can use sulfur or several other OMRI-listed fungicides, as well as neem oil in nurseries as more of a preventative, but fungicides are not very effective once the disease is established. The next plant I want to talk about are some roses that I found that appeared to be pretty sick. I just first should address the weather that Bozeman, Montana had this spring and fall. They were both very mild and very wet. These roses were purchased in the spring of 2019 and they appeared to be healthy at the time of purchase. They were all a hybrid tea variety. And early in the season I noticed that there was some powdery mildew. And then the fall, like I said, got cool and wet, very mild. And this started to trigger some flowers not really producing, not really opening, buds just kind of dying off. And then a lot of purple lesions on the stems, and it appeared to have a bacterial type leaf spot, and I decided it was bacterial because of the way that the pathogen fully ate through the leaf. So just for reference, this is what the roses looked like at the beginning of the season. Overall pretty healthy, maybe a little bit of powdery mildew there, but nothing to worry about at this point. This video really shows the severity of those leaf spots. It almost looks like an insect ate them, but here and there you can see leaf spots that have not fully broken through yet. This video is from the fall. I just clipped this stem to show the severity of the purpling and spotting on the stem, and also on the petals there. They're dark colored around the edges and just didn't look quite right. Firm if this was bacterial leaf spot or not on the roses. I would like to have a lab take a look at them because in my research I found that it's not the most common disease. If it is in fact bacterial leaf spot, there are a few ways to manage it. The first thing being removing and destroying all infected branches. Always disinfecting your shears before cutting more stems, and then if this were to be found in more of a commercial setting at a greenhouse, there are several group M1 fungicides available. The next plant that I found to have some disease is pineapple sage. This plant had necrotic lesions on the crown and stems, reduced leaf growth. The outer skin of the root did not come off when I scraped my nails on it, but the soil and organic matter did, which you'll see in the next video. You can also see how easily that stem broke off. And then here we're looking at the roots. As we learned in class, you want to avoid overwatering, remove any diseased plants, and use fungicides when necessary to control Rhizoctonia root and crown rot. The next sample I have is on barley, although I did see this same disease on some wild rye that I inspected for seed over the summer. Wild rye is often used around landscape buildings and commercial areas. I just did not have the foresight at the time to take detailed videos, so I had one of barley instead. So on the leaves you can really see those red-orange pustules. So I diagnosed that barley plant with rust, and same with the wild rye that I saw. So some management for that is have good cultural practices, allow good airflow between grasses, remove dead material, avoid over applying nitrogen, and don't mow too low. My next plant sample is of some prairie blanket flower at the USDA NRCS Bridger Plant Materials Center in Bridger, Montana. I found these really weird double looking faces in the field that I was looking at, and so I talked to the scientist about it and thought maybe it was genetic, but he told me it was more likely to be viral. Here you can really see how those flower heads are growing. This one grew on top of each other, that's all on one stem. I'm not holding two stems together. I recently called the scientist in Bridger to talk to him about this disease to see if he thought it was a form of aster yellow, and he did. As we learned in class 2, the best way to manage aster yellow virus is to manage the insects and then also to remove anything that is diseased, as it can spread to the other healthy plants.